In the last video I covered, yeah, of course, the Ukraine engineered crisis. And something that I pointed out was how it had to do with the economy, but in particular energy. Now, I don't know the whole truth about this situation there. Just seems like a whole bunch of invested interest and manipulation and disinformation. So, but yeah, I mean, you can actually say that it's a result of energy policy. And this is what happens when energy and the way people live, how they stay warm or whatever, is in the decision-making power is placed in just a few hands. It doesn't leave you many options. It's besides the fact that it's usually not really healthy for the earth, and so it's not healthy for people or animals or anything like that. With that being said, I'll just go on with the news that I have here. Fukushima radiation to reach West Coast next month. Now, it sounds like it's bad, real bad news, but it's a good chance that it's already reached the West Coast for the past however many years. It says that USA Today is reporting very low levels of radiation from Fukushima nuclear disaster likely will reach ocean waters along the U.S. West Coast next month. Over the past 3 years, there's been an endless debate over whether the Fukushima radioactive fallout was hitting the U.S. West Coast, or if, as the media would have had it, is largely isolated, and best just to take their word for the simple reason that there's no federal agency currently sampling Pacific Coast's seawater for radiation. In Tokyo, in Japan, thousands were hitting the streets for anti-nuclear protests. Again, they have their own little TEPCO monopoly out there, energy monopoly out there as well. So they're protesting, they're speaking out against the government to resume their basically nuclear energy production to power the economy. And it's like, I guess if they didn't have any customers, then they would just go away, right? As long as people keep playing the game, then the madness continues. So again, yeah, go out and protest. I mean, that's all nice, and if it makes you feel better when you go home at the end of the day, if you feel better about yourself that you did something, I guess you can say, hey, at least I did try to do something, raise awareness. Because that's what, I mean, I guess that's probably what the beginning to people detaching themselves from it, from the system itself. And just that's the best way you can get these people to go down, is to hit them where it hurts, which is their wallet. 4 more test positive for radiation exposure at WIPP. And that's not giving me the story, but that's in New Mexico, so just, nuclear plant. The British are staging an anti-fracking protest, so they're fracking mad about drilling into the earth, extracting oil and gas. Basically, they shoot water, I think they explode stuff up. So the purpose of the day is to send a message out that we don't want fracking in Manchester or anywhere else. Well, if the people around you are going to be customers for them and they're going to pay for that to live their nice lifestyles, well, it doesn't really matter. You go out and protest and they'll let you. Sorry to sound redundant here, but that's the kind of aggravation that I've had over the last 6 months with people in general, as far as, we can complain about this system itself. But we're the ones that are keeping it going. Maybe not me, you, or other people that are aware, but as a whole we are. So I guess that's what I'm saying. We just gotta go along for the ride, I guess. Try to keep our sanity. And a result of this fracking, like most of you know, is earthquakes, although they deny that. U.S. Geological Survey calls an Oklahoma earthquake the largest human-induced earthquake on record, 5.7 magnitude in Oklahoma, most powerful in the state's history. So, and this was actually back November 6, 2011. As far as earthquake news goes, there was one that hit North California. I think it was Eureka area. That says 6.9, and they said, this is what they said, that no damages or casualties were basically going to happen. So well, what happens when they do happen? They said that the National Tsunami Warning Center said that there was no tsunami danger for the region. But like I said before, this area is due for a large tsunami and a large earthquake. I think it was 10.0 and whatever, 100-foot tsunami or some crap like that. MIT's, are they going to be ready? No, they're not going to be ready for it. Are you kidding me? Do you think your quote, tax dollars go towards building up infrastructure? No, it goes to paying off interest for debt that's taken on. MIT's liquid metal stores solar power unit after sundown. So we've heard so many things about solar. It says basically they can make electricity whenever it's needed. But this is the thing. These are great, quote, great minds, right, that are working for MIT, getting paid the big dollars and stuff, working for, go work for Boston Dynamics or some shit. And it's like, well, if we were really free as individuals, then people would be able to make stuff in their backyard and sell it, sell the technology, make it free to the world. But see, companies like that, big companies like Boston Dynamics and them and GE, they don't like that. So they use the government to basically squash that from people inventing things and providing the technology for low cost or free to humanity. So there's technology that already exists or could exist if they just get the hell out of the way. The government, these big corporations. So Chinese government cafeterias go non-GMO while their public school children are still being fed poisons. So not served by government employees or members of the public who might visit the facility. No GMOs for them. I've actually covered this a long time ago about how the Chinese government is getting fed GMO food. They have their own separate fields. I actually showed it in a news report. And the Chinese people are getting like rice that has some kind of synthetic rice, of plastic rice floating around, and their cows were feeding, grazing in garbage dumps. So this is what you've probably heard before. China is crashing as predicted. Big bubble brutally burst, bringing bankruptcies and bond busts. Ahead of the Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund noted in 2009, both China and America are addressing bubbles by creating more bubbles. Yeah, they actually covered this at zerohedge.com. Global debt crosses $100 trillion. $100 trillion global debt rises by $30 trillion since 2007. $27 trillion is foreign held. But, I mean, that's all money that people have to pay off. I was joking with somebody yesterday. You might get a kick out of this as far as, like, if you believe in an afterlife or reincarnation and stuff. Can you imagine if you were done with your little cycle, your little soul cycle, and they're like, well, apparently it looks like you owe $400,000. You need to work that off. Yeah, you lived at so-and-so in the United States, and according to our figures, you owe $500,000. You got to work off. You need to get back down there, buddy. And then while you're down there, what do? Oh, because of the standard of living has gone up, you actually owe more than you started with. So, you go back and you finish, and I paid off all my debt. Well, no, actually, you had more debt. So, and the conversation kind of started because, I was saying, well, even if you have just a little debt, it'd be good to pay it off. I think just karmically, it's good to just, you don't want to owe anything when you leave this world. And he was like, it's the whole debt issuance is illegitimate, and so you can just, walk away. And I'm thinking, yeah, but still, maybe it's best just pay what you owe, what you took. It's still material goods that people built, that was energy that came your way. So, and then I thought about it as a collective, okay, well, what about debt that was forced upon you, like in a nation, by a government that takes on debt? I mean, you're to owe that? It's like, so you got to keep coming back because of it. Anyways, moving on here, China. They're saying here from IB Times, China's mountain of foreign debt is not as scary as it looks. So they said the amount of debt China owes foreign lenders is rising at a rapid pace. but the level of China's external borrowing is still very low. It claims the world's second largest economy has suddenly become reliant on mountains of foreign cash are way off, according to Standard Chartered. About 40% of China's gross domestic product, or GDP, was a whopping 3.8 trillion of external debt at the end of 2013. Moving on here, this whole Malaysia missing airline flight, some people are saying it's a terrorist attack. Actually, this is coming from International Business Times, so this is a mainstream thing, mainstream source. Terror attack most likely, says aviation experts, for the disappearance of this Malaysian Airlines plane. So, planes, nothing goes just missing in this world, I think. Everything is tracked at this particular time, unless you're, I don't know, I would imagine even if you're out in the middle of nowhere, if they really want to track you. And talking about souls, I think souls, individual souls are tracked in between lives. I mean, it's pretty scary when you think about that. But missile downed Malaysia Airlines jet, so they're saying it was a near miss by a North Korean rocket. So the conspiracies are abound, right? Was this a Chinese false flag? They're saying China's September 11th. Also because the passengers were of Chinese origin. Tickets, this is the latest news. Tickets of Malaysia plane suspects, so the suspect is tied to an Iranian man. So an Iranian man, dude. So what better way if you're, say, Israel, the U.S., and want to take a stab at China than to blame someone else that's supposedly your enemy, like Iran. But I don't really buy any of that stuff anymore. I think Iran's completely not anti-West now. I don't know if they ever were. I think that the West and the Rothschilds and that type of ilk basically made the Chinese economy to make what we have, the global economy now. So it's just a big circus show. Dennis Rodman saying that people will kiss my ass when North Korea democratizes, so we're going to democratize this shit. So first thing I thought when he was going over there, and then he went over there again, was that this guy is working for the company, for the agency, the alphabet agencies. And who knows if he really is, because if he is, then that means he's working for a very select few of corporate elite. But yeah, democratize. Yeah, that's going to happen. They're just going to give up power from the top. Very few real democracies have ever existed in human history. And actually people getting together, aggregating, and determining their own fate, exercising their own will as individuals, as a collective. That's a powerful thing. And so that's why they give us things like, they say, democracy. Well, it's representative democracy. You're represented by somebody else. Well, then it's not really a democracy then. If you think of it this way, and don't be offended if you are management, it's like in business, you have managers, right? Especially with bigger companies. And if the workers, let's say if this was a democracy, the workers would actually own the company. They would have all the decision-making power. They would have all the knowledge and the ability to exercise that knowledge in the form of making bigger, broader decisions like wages and all that. Well, they don't. They don't, because they don't own the company. So the one person or 10 people do. So they have to hire just a couple of people that know a little bit about what's going on to represent their financial interests and rent out people to do what they can't do. That's what employees are. So if you look at it as far as politics go, what would you have? Well, you would basically have people making their own decisions. People would own the company, the workers would own the company, the citizens would actually own the government. It would be their government, but they don't. And since they don't, a corporate elite has to have someone manage their interests, manage the company or the government. So they hire politicians and they make us think that we're hiring them, that they work for us, they represent us. That's democracy. You have Julian Assange saying the NSA has grown to be a rogue agencies. It's like, well, they're Captain Obvious. They already were. And just go figure, right? Google and NSA are building the future of AI with a supercomputer. Facebook drones are going to battle Google balloons in the war of airborne internet, saying that they're nemesis. It's the AI, both of them.